We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars Wrestling Show. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week, as always, the one and only, the undisputed scholar himself, Mr. Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I am doing wonderful this evening, sir. It's been an interesting week in wrestling. Good, good wrestling shows. It's actually kind of nice to see WWE actually trying again.
Indeed. And speaking of trying again, we have in the building the current reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling world champion, the one and only Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how are we doing this evening, sir?
Very, very good. Yeah, it was an interesting week in wrestling, but the most interesting thing that happened this week was I took back the title that was taken from that was stolen from me.
No, well, it was vacated, and Charlie was just like, instead of keeping this going, I'm just going to cash in and just snatch it myself. And you're just like, no.
Okay. No, it wasn't that I was like, no. It was like, okay, you can have it for a month, but you can have it, but the first chance I get, I'm going to take it back. I said that. The prophecy came true, and here we are back at the start.
Yes, indeed. And just so we get into the nitty gritty of how we got here, we have to talk a little bit about WWE Extreme Rules 2021. So let's transition to right into it. Extreme Rules, the fallout. I gotta be honest, I was not a big fan of this show, but overall, what do you think? Overall thoughts about Extreme Rules? Scholar Brian, why don't you give us your initial impressions of the show?
The wrestling itself in every match, I did not have a problem with. If we were just basing it on the wrestling, I would probably give it a full beard. However, okay, that's it. There were multiple ending decisions and things that didn't happen in matches that they were lucky they got a classic OT from me. Okay, it's the wrestling itself is fine. Okay, but when you bring in Alexa Bliss with the clearly visible Alka-Seltzer tablet.
Oh gosh, I totally forgot about that. That was bad.
And when you bring in, I like magic. I like when they do it most of the time. Okay, but here's the deal. You have Finn Balor the Demon being magic, and then you have the only thing that kills him is an accidental rope snap. I can't be down with that. And especially if that's the only way that your dominant champion can beat him. No, bullshit. But because the wrestling in the matches that were had was good enough to make the bullshit watchable, and like I can deal with it. I hate it, but I can deal with it. So it gets a very low classic OT for me. But it's like, come on, man. There's some things that can't happen here.
Yeah, I'm not so. A lot of the things that you outlined were just too egregious, and they stuck out too much for me. Like especially all that those shenanigans with the Fiend. Yeah, really. Listen to me. With the
You're pulling a
Demon
meme from
and
last
Finn
week.
Balor, and hey, it's gonna get us all eventually.
It's
Believe
contagious,
me.
man.
Yeah. But with all that stuff with the Demon, I can see why some people may have liked it, but for me, it just didn't click. Just because it's the kind of match that sort of demands a clean finish. You really shouldn't be having that kind of a finish, in my opinion. It's just, you need to have the nerve to have somebody lose. Otherwise, it shows that there's really nothing to care about with this match, and I need a reason to care.
It feels like a less grievous Fiend versus Seth Rollins. The only reason that it's less egregious is that it wasn't a draw in a Hell in a Cell. I'm like, you had the Demon lose, but the way you had the Demon lose was such bullshit that, yes, it hurt both of the competitors in the match, whether Roman Reigns won or not.
Yeah, everything about this just seemed like such a layover until the next program. But I don't want us to just keep railing on this match. Fool, what do you think? How did that whole spot work for you?
Well, first I'll talk about my reaction to the pay-per-view itself. I'm pretty much right there with Brian, word for word. But when it came to the wrestling itself, it actually was very entertaining. But this roster shows why they are an amazing roster. The last part is just it was really the last two matches, or at least the quote main events, the multiple main events that really are the questionable creative wise. I guess of all the main events, the only one that I actually was okay at that time that happened was the Sasha Banks return causing a DQ. Just because I'm like, oh, okay, well, Bianca was on the actual verge of winning the match. And again, great match between her and Becky. And it's just, if the DQ happens that benefits the story, then I will agree to it. But the one real problem is that WWE does that too much. So it takes away all the, I guess, the creativity from these matches. So you just basically got to try and find your way to find, like, okay, is this a bullshit finish, which most of the time it is, or is it a crap finish, or is it a bullshit finish that actually benefits the story that WWE is trying to tell? Because whether we like it or not, they are storytellers first than wrestlers. So when we got the whole Alexa Bliss angle with her trying to be like a rabbitous being, that actually, compared to Finn Balor, that one was actually more tamed. There really was no supernatural. It was just her trying to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But as I was actually telling Brian about that particular match, that Brian wouldn't be champion if you and I, Jeff, didn't change Charlie's mind on switching that prediction. Because remember, he said he actually was predicting Charlotte to win, but me and you actually changed his mind on it, and he switched it with Alexa Bliss. So
thank you both, good sirs.
Well,
Happy to be of service.
Well, again, hey, we got the title. We got the title of Charlie. So
rewarded with a title shot.
So in that case,
in the near future,
I got your back. I got your back.
Maybe.
My tag team partner, Scholar Brian. I got your back on keeping the title where it belongs with the two people that just are running all over Scholars of Wrestling. That we had to do it. But yeah.
What is that? What is that for me? 6 or 7 times now?
That's 6.
I'm
No,
going.
no.
I'm going
Oh
for.
no. Actually, I think it is 7.
I'm going for. I'm going for Ric Flair here. Fuck that.
You're going for that double. You're going for that double title. That double number title reign. There you go. Yeah, I don't want to watch Rhodes on top.
That's Rhodes to the top.
I don't care.
Well, depending on which roads you're talking about, I think it makes a world of difference. But anyway, that's another.
It doesn't matter
entirely.
with me because I don't find Brandy Rhodes at all interesting. So, hi, bye. I'm Jim. No, it's Hey, big gulps, huh? All right.
All right. Well, see you later.
But back to Extreme Rules when it came to the Finn Balor and Roman match. Like what Brian says, I really am it. Like, I was brought into being a wrestling fan through The Undertaker. I really have no point of just like really criticizing when they go supernatural. Maybe if Finn Balor didn't cheese it up so much, especially with the whole like with the heartbeat, and he just goes don't body twitching. If maybe he didn't do that, I probably would have I wouldn't have laughed at it so hard. But when it came to the rope breaking, yeah, that's just fucking stupid. There's my one. That's just stupid. I don't like. It's not even really like you look bad on like the story. It's just like, oh, even like, or if you look at it through the story as what I'm meaning, you look at it as like, wow, this company is like doing so poorly that it doesn't make sure that its rope is tight enough for it to snap. Or as some people are picturing it, it's just after the match, Roman looking like pointing to the sky, he's thanking God. Is like, oh, did God help slay the demon, or is this the WWE's answer to God's favorite champion?
It better not be any of those things.
Well, to be honest, they didn't even reference that whole bit on SmackDown, so they don't give a shit. So why do I care? So I'm not going to look that much into it. Facial hair rating, I'm also going to give it a very low classic goatee, 3 out of 5. Just if it was just on the wrestling, it would be a full beard, but because of the booking, which is a peach fuzz, go right in the middle, 3 out of 5. Great pay-per-view for your quote season finale of WWE TV.
See, it looks like I'm going to have to be the harshest critic to this one because I did not get that at all. If this is supposed to be a big show or a big deal, I just feel like there's so many missed opportunities and just.
I mean, like look at the
even
Usos
this where it
and
doesn't need to
Street
be.
Profits. Like the Usos and Street Profits was a very good match. Where like one of the best matches of that night. And I don't want to take the 2 matches that have very, very, very poor booking decisions and have it criticize that portion very much. I mean, the first half of the show was really good. Liv Morgan and Carmella, they are showing that they are very improved. Like this is me saying about Carmella. They actually worked very well in the pre-show. And Liv Morgan got the win, well deserved. This much should be Money in the Bank, but that's just beating a dead horse. The tag team match was amazing. Let's see what other match.
The 6-man tag.
Ooh, that's
New Day versus AJ almost and Bobby Lashley. That was great too.
Yeah, that was a great. I forgot AJ Styles. And that was just another good story. Like, there was like I wouldn't even really say like shenanigans. It was just the story being told that led to the ending, and now we got whatever we got on Raw, possibly Hurt Business reunion. I mean, we already broke up the New Day again, much to the like.
Oh, we'll get to that one too.
We'll get to that when we talk about the draft. But I guess I guess on that end, it's just, again, looks like it's just another like way to the season finale of WWE television. And I can't really, and I don't really want to take away those matches, because those, when it came to my facial hair rating, it was just, trust me, I hated those two endings too. And like the fact that Alexa Bliss, which we didn't even talk about it being in her hometown match. If that was the case, my prediction would have been the complete opposite. I would have chosen Charlotte if I knew it was in her hometown. If it was in Alexa Bliss's hometown, like, oh, WWE hometown hero? What the? There's no such thing as a hometown hero. You're a hometown loser. And we make sure that as much as possible by ripping up your doll.
Yes,
Which
it's a family company.
Which there is, yeah, right. There is like discussion that when she comes back from her sinus surgery, that she's actually going to be like debuting, like possibly entrance with like a mask with her Lilith face, like what's left of the Lilith doll as a mask. I'm like, you know what? Make it your own, girl. Whatever works for you. And now we don't have to worry about more of this Alexa Bliss versus Charlotte, and I guess we'll talk about that why very soon.
Yeah, and even before all that, just real quick, there's even more to this show that I just really didn't like. I thought the ending to the immediate aftermath of the Alexa Bliss Charlotte feud, there was so much, again, the foaming of the mouth thing. I can see what they were going for, but it just didn't work, obviously.
Would it change your mind if it actually did work? If like the tablet did what it was supposed to do?
I'm not so certain. Like even with the ring rope collapse on the Demon Finn Balor, it was still an intentional act. It still didn't add anything to the show. I just still don't care. So it's for that reason that, yeah, there are some good points, but I cannot give this beyond just I gotta give it a 1 out of 5. I gotta give it a peach fuzz. This was not good.
Is 1.
Okay, 2. Okay, you lucked out. You got a point. Whatever. As low as that is, that's what you're getting, because I was really unsatisfied with this pay-per-view.
I think this is a very rare occasion, just seeing Jeff so something made Jeff so angry.
I'll tell you what. It's not so much anger at this point. It's a flavor of disappointment that I've come to expect out of WWE. They don't follow anything up. They don't capitalize on someone else's heat. They're not giving me the kind of shows and matches that I want to see. They're trying to cram too many people, round pegs into square holes, to make them fit whatever kind of narrative that they want to tell, where talent is interchangeable. And when you've got all these different non-finishes, like ropes crashing the ground mysteriously and weird Alka-Seltzer moments and main event level matches that end in a no contest because someone comes out and attacks, like, it's samey, it's boring, and there's no stakes to it. And I will get behind it.
Yeah, you know what it is, Tarek? He's finally reached the level that we've been at for the last year now. We've reached that point where Jeff has reached the level that we're at. However, he hasn't reached the point where it's like, okay, at least the wrestling's okay. We could give it that. So it's like it was okay. It was okay to watch, but we're not gonna give it any more than that. He hasn't reached that part yet. He's at the angry. He's at the pessimistic point of view where it's just like, yep, we're here now. This happened.
It's actually very funny it's very funny. I think I'm actually now taking something from Jeff's card. I'm being the optimist here. We also got to remember this is like one of the low ranking pay-per-views that they don't even give a shit about. So they seem to be now really more caring about Raw and SmackDown when putting on the good stuff. When it comes to these like low B level pay-per-views, they don't give a shit. I mean, as you put it a few months ago with SummerSlam, fool, you're pretty much paying $6 for something that's they don't even really seem to care about, because one thing, it's not even really their network anymore since they're on Peacock, and the main focus is just trying to put on good television to compete with AEW, because AEW's been really picking up momentum. So now I'm not like I said earlier, they're actually starting to wake up when actually trying to put over their talent. I mean, just from this SmackDown alone, tonight, one of the matches was the 8-man tag with New Day and Street Profits versus Alpha Academy and War Dogs. So it looks like when it comes to like, now again, I guess I'm just pulling the optimist card. They seem to be now focusing on the tag team division when it comes to SmackDown. I mean, they just now have four tag teams, 5 if you include the Usos. They actually are building up a tag team division, which with great tag teams. And I honestly still don't know what the hell's happening on Raw when it comes to, which brings the whole discussion that I've been throwing now that the roster has now gotten so much smaller. If you want to keep the shows like
it's time to shake things up again.
It's when it comes to like, if you want to keep like people on specific brands, go right ahead. But like the main event, like certain main event stuff can jump both shows. They can slowly disappear the brand split. Like,
well, in the spirit of that, I've got a Scholar's Quick Talk for you. Since we're obviously talking about the state of the WWE Draft after night 1 of it, we got what apparently seems to be Charlotte going over to SmackDown.
Yep. Do you want to start with the first batch of people? I know Charlotte's in the first batch, but you just want to just list the first round of the.
I think.
Oh, wait, this is a Scholar's Quick Talk. Oh, this is a Scholar's Quick Talk. I'm sorry. What about Charlotte?
I'll go over the list real quick after we're done with this. But yes, we got Charlotte going over to SmackDown, and no drafting of any other women's champions has been confirmed one way or the other. So in your opinion, what are the chances that we're actually going to see a unified women's championship in WWE? Any chance at all?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. Like I was just saying, I kind of want the brand split to slowly disappear, because like I said, because of the whole cuts that WWE's been having this past year. Yay. Good publicity, WWE, firing a shitload of people. Good for you. Now that the roster has really just lost a good portion of it, you really could just make the brand split disappear and unify a few titles. Like unify the women's championship, unify this tag team championship, keep the 2 mid-card belts. And as for the world titles, I guess if they want to, yeah. You pretty much have, I would, since you have the 2 mid-card belts, you're not going to merge them. Yeah, just go ahead. Merge the world titles. Make it so it's now focus on just the WWE as a whole with the wrestlers you have, not just WWE the brand, because you got to build up your wrestlers to have a brand. But yeah, I feel like if anything, they should unify some gold, at least when it comes to like the big ones, like the women's world title and the men's world title and the tag titles. Because like I said, other than Mason T-Bar and let's see, Orton and Matt Riddle, AJ Styles and Omos, is that really it when it comes to the tag team division on Raw?
Sounds close enough to it.
So yeah, it would benefit, and I guess just do what they do with AEW, have like the big stuff on one show and then just a whole series of stuff on the other one, just to make the mid card feel important. So like if you want, just like, let's say SmackDown, since SmackDown is on Fox, that's the new A show, have like the big stuff on those shows, and then the like smaller stuff can take over the like on Raw and all that. Main event is pretty much dark now.
Well, since you brought it up, and because I promised I would do so, let's go over the list of night one draft picks. Real quick, on Raw, we had drafted Big E, Bianca Belair, RK Bro, Edge, Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH, Keith Lee, Rey and Dominic Mysterio, and Austin Theory. For SmackDown, we got Roman Reigns, Charlotte Flair, Drew McIntyre, The New Day, Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, Naomi, Jeff Hardy, and completely out of nowhere, Hit Row. The entirety of Hit Row is going to SmackDown, which is plenty to make me turn my head. I'll tell you that much.
Knowing what they changed NXT into, you got to get Hit Row the hell out of there.
Oh yeah,
that's the best. Yeah, that was the best. That's them moving to the main roster was perfect. Was pretty much a blessing for them. Like now that NXT really did transition back to the developmental show, I'm actually surprised that it'll stay on TV for very long. That's how much no one gives a shit anymore about NXT. Hell, I don't. Yeah. And that's heartbreaking because of just the history that NXT has had over these years. And now it's that NXT, like very soon we're going to see the rise and fall of Triple H's NXT.
I think we're already in the middle of seeing that, unfortunately.
I mean the documentary for it, like in a couple of years. That's pretty much what we're going to see, because this is.
I will say this about at least the women's title unifying and all that. If you're going to keep Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch on the same show, okay, unless they're going to do something like next week where they're like, oh, Bianca Belair gets her one last rematch against Becky Lynch on SmackDown or something like that, then you kind of have to. You have no choice, because then you have two champions on the same show. You can't have that.
Most likely they're just gonna either have Becky to Raw, or they'll just trade Charlotte back to Raw.
I can almost guarantee that at least on Monday Becky will be going to Raw, which probably means that Seth is going to go to Raw as well, and so that they can continue the Seth versus Edge feud. But yeah, you knew Drew McIntyre was going to go over to SmackDown. You knew that Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre was going to be in the future. Whether Drew's the one to end his reign or not is to be seen. But you knew after the Survivor Series Survivor Series match last year that they were gonna run that back in a full feud. So I knew from the jump that Drew McIntyre was going over to SmackDown, and Hit Row, as said, you can't have that in this new edition of NXT. It doesn't work. So bring it up to the main roster, see what happens, and see.
And they're very charismatic. They're gonna flourish.
And
they are
see
very
how
much a main roster act.
Yeah, see how the crowd takes it and go from there. And Vince McMahon, listen to your audience. Start doing that. That is why the competition is being able to grow as big as it is, because they listen to their people. They listen to the people watching the show. If Hit Row is a hit on the main roster, then push them. It's not that hard. That's it.
And what was I gonna say? Now with the announcement that they, like, the official announcement, I don't know if they did it on Raw or not, but with them actually officially announcing the King of the Ring tournament and
I think this is the first time it's been announced.
Okay,
at least
and
publicly.
at least the officially now named Queen Crown tournament, which, well, that's fine. It separates from the men's tournament. I'm a sucker for tournaments, and can't wait to see
where Crown tournament is the one that I'd give to Liv Morgan.
Oh, that's why we're a tag team, Brian. You just read my mind. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Yes.
I'm just like, it's right there. It's
right there. And a part of me is thinking that the finals is going to have Xavier Woods. Whether or not he's actually going to win the thing, it's in the air. But
I'm calling it now. The finals is going to be
Xavier Woods will be this year's Chad Gable.
I'll tell you what.
The question is whether he wins or not.
I really hope he does, but part of me, my ideal final is going to be Shinsuke Nakamura versus Xavier Woods. I'd be happy with either of them winning.
That would be a great finals. It really would.
I honestly think that that's what they're building up to. I mean, like, you already have King Shinsuke.
Mm-hmm.
It's already here. So once the tournament starts, he's in your final no matter what you do. So, and Xavier Woods is the one who's been begging this up for months. So it's like that's just basic storytelling right there.
And hopefully they do more with this tournament than just a gimmick. Have this be what the King of the Ring first was, which is a way to put over the winner, like to make, like, kind of just as a stepping stone.
A way to jump that person into the main event contention.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone thinks that Edge winning Money in the Bank was what did it. No, he won King of the Ring first.
Although I'm not gonna lie, a part of me does want to see Otis just Brock Lesnar up this tournament and just run through people.
Well, I will say this:
they booked him very strong. It would be a fun.
You gotta give Otis Money in the Bank and
King of the Ring, sure. At least
King of the Ring in the same year.
At least if in this case, Otis is being booked appropriately, that if he did win this tournament, it would be the elevation that he would need.
Yeah, he's not being booked as a joke.
He's not a joke character anymore, and that was the one thing that really hurt him when he won the Money in the Bank. He was still a cartoon, which is something I just look at WWE now. WWE is just a cartoon. It is made for kids. It's Nickelodeon. It's Disney's wrestling. Nickelodeon's wrestling. So that's like, I think, like, with being so critical on the book, it's like, you know what? again, they're more focused on storytelling than they are with wrestling. They're not having, it's not like it's sports entertainment. It's like they don't do rankings, which is more sports than entertainment. So it's just, again, it's stories. Do I like that decision on how to book things? Hell no. I hate it. It's dumb. Again, and it's what I've said. It's what I've said before. That's what you've said in the past, Brian. This is what Jeff said tonight. It's just one of those things. Like if you're not booking it to the way that people are looking like, dominant, that's not Roman Reigns, then why the hell do we care? Because there's just the stakes are just being so lowered, and the stock of the wrestlers just are going down because the results mean nothing, and that's still WWE's problem. At least they're in a step of the right direction. They still got so much to work on.
And with all of that being said, now that we've got a night 2 of the draft on the horizon, and we've got a better sense of where Raw and SmackDown can pull from in terms of talent and where they might be going with this. When it comes before we head on out for the evening, when it comes to the draft, are there any drafts that you'd like to see happen in particular that would add to your emotional investment in the show, or just a pick that you'd like to see happen?
I think that after Extreme Rules, Finn Balor needs to go to Raw. He can't stay on SmackDown. That's not a thing that can happen based on. He lost to Roman Reigns in a joke fashion. Okay,
but that I actually do agree with that, because when it comes, this is me just now looking at it at a certain point of view. SmackDown is the top show. It's on Fox. It's on the big cable network. It's on the sports favorite channel. So that's one reason why Charlotte was moved to SmackDown, because she's gotten taken away from the cartoon storyline of Alexa Bliss. And it's kind of a similar situation with Finn Balor. He's a cartoon character now with the demon persona. It doesn't really fit with how they've been booking SmackDown. So it just makes perfect sense for him to go on the show that's more character oriented with the USA Network. So yeah, with that, Finn should go to Raw. Me personally, I feel like Cesaro should stay on SmackDown, but that's just a personal preference. Keep the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown, and have Shinsuke, Otis, Cesaro, have that be your mid card. Apollo Crews, build some momentum back with him. Use that as the build for your Intercontinental, like the top mid card level, and then you have like Damian Priest, Sheamus staying on Raw. I would say keep Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business on Raw, because that's a group that needs to be rebuilt.
And that's something tag team, and that's another tag team that you can put on that you can put on Raw. If you put Cedric and Shelton back together, if you're putting the band back together, then that's another tag team that you have in the Raw tag division.
And it's actually really fun. They can use the story of like why they're back. Like that's the one real criticism I had with Raw. Like, as I said, I was happy that Hurt Business is back together. I was just really disappointed on the execution of it. But if they go in the direction that MVP hinted at on social media, with him having like a airplane quote business meeting with Cedric and Shelton, have it be just like, okay, we may not like each other, but we're still like, we are a business. We are the Hurt Business. So let's be as professional about this as possible. Let's do what we're supposed to do, and that's dominate. We may not have to like each other, but we have to work together. work together on this, and who knows, maybe eventually actually book them as faces that earn their like re-earn their friendship with one another. And hey, why not? Hurt Business is a popular act. If you could work it out to have them be badass baby faces after rebuilding them up, go for it. And keep stables. That's a one thing that's working. That's why I like they're actually focusing on tag team on SmackDown again. I like, maybe that's something a Fox Network executive told them to do. And you know what? I'm good with that. Work on, keep stables. Have these acts work together that can work together. Again, I'm basically pulling Jeff's card on this show and being the optimistic one. Is it stupid? Oh, I'm being optimistic, but I know that most of the time I probably will end up being disappointed. So I'm not like putting my heart into it as what I used to do in the past. I'm not gullible. I'm just seeing like, okay, I'm just a wrestling fan. I want these companies to succeed. I don't want either of them to go out of business. But give me some good shit. Give me some good product.
Yeah, even then I wasn't even thinking about, just like, it was more like a wish list kind of thing. Just like, okay, what would you like to see happen? Scholar Brian, any draft picks in particular that you would like to see happen?
Like to see happen? I said the one that I would like and I need to see happen. I think that if you're not going to merge the titles, I think that we're going to see Becky and Seth go over to Raw on Monday. I think that they're building it to be more of a wrestling heavy show, like a smaller guy show on Raw, and they're going to bring the big, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Hurt Business went over to SmackDown. And like, I wouldn't agree with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Actually, just coming this right up, I said keep him on Raw before, but I would actually like to see Sheamus on SmackDown. Sheamus, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro in that Intercontinental title picture.
Maybe get Sheamus and Cesaro, get the band back together.
Hell, just trio it up with Shinsuke, since Cesaro has been tag team champions with both guys.
Yeah. So
how awesome of a stable would that have been? And each person is very charismatic that can get each other over by working off each other, which is something each guy has done with their other. At least with Cesaro's case, he's done it with both of them.
It could be the new League of Nations.
No,
don't put that
Brian.
evil on us.
No. Brian, come on. They're not going to be put together.
You were doing so well.
Brian, you got to come on, man. No douche card tonight on that one. No douche card on that one. Shame on you.
It's already done.
Oh, with that, I'm gonna throw this paper counter thing at the camera.
Yeah,
and that's supposed to be at you. Shame on you.
Yeah,
Shame.
I don't think I've got anything that can top that. I was just gonna say, I'm just gonna say LA Knight to Raw for no particular
that
reason.
Works.
For no other particular reason other than I'm getting the feeling that SmackDown is going to be pretty loaded, and they're going to need to bring up someone fresh and new and exciting that can really boost it up. And the first name that comes to mind is LA Knight.
And honestly, okay,
Cameron Grimes.
Based on
Cameron Grimes too, but I've got a weird feeling that he's going to stay in NXT for a little while longer.
If he stays in NXT, they probably would bury him.
The reason,
that's exactly what I'm thinking. They'll probably feed him the Braun Breaker next month.
The reason why I would say Cameron Grimes as well is because the $1 million belt is no longer on the NXT website as a actual champion. So,
well, yeah. DiBiase took it
it's
back and was just like, yeah, there was no one's worthy of this title. I'm getting the hell out of here.
yeah, so it's like at that point, okay, that was Cameron Grimes and LA Knight's entire story the entire time they were in NXT. It's gone now. Why do they need to be there?
They don't.
And they both did, and they both did so well in that storyline. All right, give them a promotion.
And they're cartoon characters. They fit well in the Raw formula.
Yeah, so it's like would I be surprised if Cameron Grimes is fed to Braun Breaker? No, but I think it's a disservice to the character. Do I put it past Vince McMahon to do it? Of course not. He'll do it if he wants to. But the smart move would be to bring them both up because they serve their purpose in NXT and they're good now.
Which kind of brings a Scholar's Quick Talk on my end. With pretty much all the old NXT acts pretty much disappearing from that brand, they're pretty much turning that back into developmental that no one is going to watch. It's slowly dipping in the ratings, and it's not showing any sign of rising back up. It's going to just continue going down and down. Do you see NXT surviving to 2023?
I think it will, at least for the first half, if this business model works. I see WWE really just doubling down on this whole mentality of big, beefy muscle guys who will be formed into the wrestlers that they want. I think this is going to be going on for at least some time. And I think that includes NXT in the form that we know it, sticking around for at least the first half of 2022.
I will say this. I do not believe that USA keeps NXT on the air when that contract ends.
When is the contract ending?
I have no idea. But the thing is, okay, they're not going to kill NXT because it's always going to be their developmental.
That's not, yeah, that's
what's going to happen is they're going to put it back on the WWE network, which is now Peacock or whatever.
Actually,
and they're going to that's going to be the end game here. There's no way that NXT is going to stay on the USA network. It's going to end up on Peacock. That's the final destination. That's it.
I don't even see them taking it to Peacock. Honestly, I can see them pulling an AEW Dark-esque and having that be their YouTube wrestling show. Like how Dark is for AEW. And that's how NWA is. They have their show is all YouTube. I can see WWE making NXT their YouTube series, because it's pretty much them getting into the now with social media instead of just a streaming service that has just been constantly has been constantly screwing up with their pay-per-views. I wouldn't trust that streaming network with this. I would trust their social media platforms. I would trust YouTube with it.
Yeah, how about all that Spanish and French on Sunday?
Yeah, that was before I came home. I totally missed everything, but apparently everyone else was complaining about it too.
Apparently there was some German in there too.
So all of them were talking. I didn't watch it live. I watched the highlights. So just were all the announce tables just airing at once, or what was this? Or did like alternate?
Was that Pat McAfee and Michael Cole were doing their thing, and all of a sudden the Spanish announcers started taking over. So my guess is that something happened and the Spanish announce team got dubbed over Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, and then they tried to fix it. But when they tried to fix it, then the Germans came in, and then they tried to fix it again, and then the French came in, and then by the time the actual pay-per-view started, it was good again.
Oh man.
I was going to say this is
Morgan-
starting to sound like a History Channel Channel show.
But
That's
Liv
fu- that's
Morgan
funny.
versus-
And then the
but Liv
Germans
Morgan-
came in and ruined everything.
But that's what happened.
No.
Liv Morgan versus Carmelo was completely fucked, and it was only because of the commentary.
Oh boy. Well, that is our thoughts and then some on this past week in wrestling, Extreme Rules, and the first round of the WWE Draft, and all that implies. Now we're turning it over to you, our wrestling commentating, listening, viewing audience, our compatriots in the cause. What do you think of Extreme Rules? What do you think of where NXT and the WWE Draft are going right now? We want to hear from you all across the internet. So wherever you are, drop us a comment in YouTube comments, Facebook posts, and our personal favorites, the Twitter machines. Follow us at all of our accounts, starting at Scholars OW, our main account for all the latest episode uploads every single week. And of course, join in the conversation on our personal Twitter accounts. Fool, where can I reach you?
You can reach me taking this opportunity to give a message to Scholar Charlie I never got my championship match from you, so I have a proposition for you. Why don't at the next prediction show, you and I go one-on-one to determine the number one contender for Scholar Brian's Scholars of Wrestling Championship. Former champion versus the guy who was promised a championship match but never got it.
And you, Tarek, you never told us what your Twitter handle is.
Okay. Find
Too
me at
busy
the
talking
Avataric.
smack.
Find me at the Avataric.
Scholar Brian, champ.
I'll be waiting for you, Charlie.
You can find me being completely okay with that, basking in the glory of my newest title reign. Thank you once again to you both. At Atomic
Make sure it
Beam
stays
Ball.
out on top with the two of us, Brian.
And you can
Show
reach
why
me
we take over Scholars of Wrestling.
And you can reach me at I'm Robbie Rage, plotting in the shadows for my inevitable return to the title picture. But then again, you already do that because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
A little delayed there, but you know what? We'll see you all next time for more fun.
Huzzah!